10-Minute Jazz Lesson Podcast, episode 297. Hey everybody, welcome back to episode 297 of the 10-Minute Jazz Lesson Podcast. Welcome back in for another installment in our series on the tritone substitution. And being the last episode of the month, we are going to do our Tune of the Month episode, and we are going to tailor that to our tritone substitution topic this month. So as usual, before we get into the episode, just wanted to remind everybody that this is a listener-supported podcast, which means we do not take any advertisements on the show, which means the only way that we earn income is by monthly support from listeners just like you. And we use the Patreon platform to keep the show going and to deliver you all of your extras for being a member. There is PDFs and audio examples that go along with each and every episode, and on Patreon there's all 297 episodes of those PDFs, so you get a lot more than just one episode when you sign up. So in order to support the show and find out the different tiers and all the things you can do, please go to our website, 10minutejazzlesson.com, click on one of the Patreon banners, and get yourself signed up today for instant access. Wanted to give a quick shout out to some new patrons this week. Thank you to our new $3 patrons, Lisa, Elizabeth, and David. And thank you to our new $5 patron, Jamu. Thank you for the support. Welcome to the 10-Minute Jazz Lesson family, and thank you to everybody that has been donating however long you've been part of the family. So again, 10minutejazzlesson.com, click on one of the Patreon banners, get yourself signed up. All right, so what we are going to look at today in our Tune of the Month is going to be over a tune called You'd Be So Nice to Come Home To, one of my favorite jazz standards, and the chord progression for this jazz standard is perfect for what we've been studying. We're going to be able to do a bunch of those tritone substitutions. We're going to be able to experiment with all the different formats, all the different subs that we have gone over, and we're really going to experience what those sounds are in a real life context. So in the midst of an actual solo. By using the etude that I've prepared for you, you'll get a good idea of what this kind of stuff will sound like in context, which versions of the tritone substitution you enjoy, and which you don't, right? And that'll kind of lead you down a path to start to develop your own personal sound using this really, really popular device. Okay, so grab your PDF or grab a Real Book or your iReal Pro, something that will put the chords to You'd Be So Nice to Come Home To in front of you. And the first thing that we're going to talk about is the form and the chord progression of this tune. All right, so we are going to be doing this in the key of concert A minor. And the first thing we want to do is get the overarching form, which is A, B, A, C. This is a 32-bar tune, and usually I play this medium up. That's generally where I'll play it, around 160 to 200 BPM is generally where this tune sits for me personally, but certainly it has been played at a lot of different tempos throughout the ages. Okay, so let's go over the A section. So we start right in A minor with an A minor 7th chord. And then we see a 2-5 back to A minor. So B minor 7 flat 5 to E7 flat 9 back to A minor 7. And then really quickly, we jump to the 5 chord once again. So E7 flat 9 back to A minor. Then we see it modulate to the key of F major by way of a 2-5-1. So in bar 5, we go down to G minor 7 for a bar, and then we go to C7, and then F major 7. So basically what's happening in the first 8 bars is that we do this little kind of dance in A minor for the first 4 bars, and then we modulate to the key of F major. So here's what it sounds like all together. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, so that takes care of our first A section. Then we get to our B section. So now what we do is we modulate back to the key of A minor by way of a long 2-5-1. So we get our B minor 7 flat 5 to E7, back to A minor. That's the first 4 bars of the B section. Now we get something interesting happening. We get what looks like a 2-5 to E minor, but that is a deceptive cadence that then turns into a 2-5 back to the key of A minor. And then we're back to the key of A minor for our next A section. So the entire B section sounds something like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we're back into the second A, which is exactly the same as the first A. That is why we call it A. All right. Then we get to the C section at the very end. And there's something very interesting here. So remember, we have modulated at this point to the key of F major. So we're here. Now we get to the beginning of the C section. We go first up to an F sharp diminished chord. Now we're walking up. So now we have this C over G. Now we have a G sharp diminished chord, and then we're back to A minor. So basically what we're doing is we're walking up from an F major 7 chord, F sharp, G, G sharp, back to A. And then the last 4 bars, actually the way the tune ends is it actually modulates to the relative major. So now it goes to concert C, and we get there by 5 of 5 to 5 to 1. So here is the C section. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we go back to A minor, and that brings us back into the top. So it's interesting because that lead up back to the A minor chord, the A minor chord you could think of as functioning as the 6 of that relative major that we're going to at the end of the tune. So it's kind of it has kind of a split personality there, but I think that it sounds more like a 6 to me that's leading to the C major. Right? Leads right into the 5 of 5, and then that leads into the 5 to the 1. Okay? All right, now bringing our attention to the actual etude, what you're going to notice is that there are some chord changes in red, and that is where I'm doing the tritone substitutions, and I'm using them over the long 2-5-1s, just like we did in the previous 2 episodes, just like we learned about. That's where I'm making all of my substitutions are over those chords. So let's hear the etude, and then we'll chat about it for a minute. All right, so there is the etude. Now you can judge what you like I know that etude sounds a little bit ridiculous because I'm trying to pack in like every instance of a tritone substitution that I possibly can. And again, as usual with these etudes where I'm trying to demonstrate something, this isn't necessarily how I would really play because I feel like it's a little bit over the top in terms of my use of the tritone substitution. But these etudes are designed to get a point across. So if you think it sounds a little bit ridiculous, that's because it does. But obviously, I went really heavy on the tritone substitutions in this particular etude. So what I want you to do is I want you to compare the original changes against the changes that I actually wrote in the etude and see where I'm using those subs, see how I'm using them, refer back to the PDFs from the previous 2 episodes, and you should see stuff that looks really, really familiar because it is in fact just those same substitutions in various different iterations that I have used in this etude. Okay, so hopefully this gives you some ideas. Maybe you can write your own chorus over You'd Be So Nice to Come Home To, and then start improvising over it. If you don't know this tune, this is a fantastic one to have in your repertoire. This is a tune that gets called a lot in the circles I run with, and I love calling this tune myself. So this would be a really, really handy one for you to know. Okay, so remember, you can get the PDF at 10minutejazzlesson.com. Click on one of the Patreon banners, get yourself signed up, and you get instant access to everything over there. As always, if you have any questions, please drop them in the 10-Minute Jazz Lesson Community Facebook group, or you can always get in touch with me at 10minutejazzlesson@gmail.com. Happy to hear from any of you. As always, I hope you're all staying safe and healthy out there, and we'll see you next month where we'll continue this series, get a little bit deeper, get a little bit more complicated, and uncover some more cool stuff that has to do with the tritone substitution. Thanks for listening, everybody. We'll talk to you soon. Have a good weekend. Bye.